today. So, Dr. Judy Ho, how do we get a handle on mistaken identity executions? The last case I cited was at night. You know, people at night are more fearful quite often.
Absolutely, Jane. You know, people are on guard, people are fearful, and maybe these accidents can happen, but there are some missing pieces to this case because she came to the door and she heard the loud pounding. Did she ask who was there? If she knew that her boyfriend was coming back to kill her, why would she even open the door? I would lock everything up and call 911. So something's not quite right here in terms of why she decided to take the matters into her own hands, having two weapons, trying to juggle that. So we really need to get a handle on training people how to actually best defend themselves instead of just give them these weapons and let them do whatever they will with it.
Well, is there such a thing as a stand your ground mentality? Shoot first, ask questions later. With Dr. Judy Ho, what is going to happen to that poor child growing up with the mother dead and learning as she gets older that she was in her mother's arms when she was shot dead? Her mom was shot dead by her own grandmother.
How does a young child make sense of this when your models are these adults in your lives and now she doesn't have her mother? And who took away her mother? Her grandmother. This child is going to have a lot of problems growing up, knowing who she is, feeling that she is safe and cared for. And I'm really, really worried about this child, Jane, because if she doesn't get help quickly to try to process this, she could end up with a lot of really, really difficult problems.
How do you get help quickly, Dr. Judy Ho, when you're 4 months old? I mean, let's be real here. She's a four-month-old can't sit on a psychiatrist's couch and go, "Doctor, I'm feeling depressed." They can't talk.
Well, right. This is a little too early, but, you know, there is such a thing as early intervention, Jane, and maybe when she's 2 or 3 years old, they should explore this. There are really great evidence-based child therapy techniques for the younger children to deal with trauma, and they really need to open that door for her. She can decide if she wants to keep walking through that as an adult or as a teenager, but they need to take that first step and bring her there.
You can decide if there's a trend. Ammo? Listen, Dr. Judy Ho, first of all, the judge said he cannot have any access to weapons as a condition of getting out on bail. He's out on bail right now. Do you think that he's potentially dangerous, though? Given that, you know how it is in America, you want to get a hold of a gun, you can get a hold of it.
Yeah, it's really not that hard, even if he doesn't own a gun, Jane, for him to find a gun, right? But he is extremely dangerous, and you know why? Because he can't even control his behaviors at this point. Either he can't control them, and that's how dangerous he is, or he actually is in full control and is that much of a narcissist that he thinks he's just going to get away with these things over and over and over again. When are we going to learn? This is a dangerous man. He needs to be put away for something else if it's not for Trayvon Martin.
Zimmerman was let out. Psychologist Dr. Judy, do you think that he is a ticking time bomb and that he might present a danger to himself and or others?
I believe he does, Jane, and you know what? I'm not sure who actually evaluated him to determine that he wasn't a threat to the public and a threat to himself. Who did that? I mean, who was the one who went through that with him? I'm not really sure. But if you look at his track history, it certainly shows evidence of somebody who is a ticking time bomb. And I don't want us to wait for him to murder somebody else or to hurt somebody else in a huge way before we do something about it. So I'm not sure what can be done here,
remember, he was found not guilty of murder. We have to respect the jury's decision. He killed someone. That's not in dispute. But they said he did not commit murder. Absolutely. Dr. Judy Ho, we're going to give you the final word on this because you're a psychologist and we desperately need one.
Well, Jane, this is a person who is using his powers and his authority to lure children in. So that's really, really depressing, but it happens all the time. And to Dorothy's point, people who grow up in the same families, they have different reactions to their family, and the environment reacts differently to them. The parents treat them differently, their teachers, their peers. They do end up having different experiences, and 50% of things like this are outside of genetics. It's really about your environment and how you deal with it.